Let's bring in our panel. Fox News chief political analyst Brit Hume, Fox News contributor Ben Domenech, host of the Big Ben podcast, Leslie Marshall, also a Fox News contributor, and Harold Ford Jr., former Tennessee congressman, co-host of The Five. Brit, let me start with you. Your thoughts of the political moment here and what we've seen and started to see inside the Democratic Party today.
Well, this whole shutdown was a fool's errand from the start. This strategy has been tried a number of times before, where you try to use the government shutdown and the pressure to get the government reopened as a lever to get something done you couldn't get done by the normal process because you didn't have the votes. It has never worked. It was never going to work. And, you know, the Democrats, yes, there was some polling that indicated that the Democrats were getting less of the blame than the Republicans. But remember this, key elements in the Democratic Party, American Association, the American Federation of Government Employees, the Teamsters Union, the Airline Workers Union, the Pilots Union, and all, they were all urging that the Republicans' measure, the temporary measure, be passed. And of course, as the air traffic situation began to get worse and the deprivation of SNAP benefits set in, it became absolutely untenable, which, when you think about it, it really was from the start. It really wasn't about enhanced ACA benefits. It was about Democrats wanting to position themselves in resistance and opposition to Donald Trump in every way they could do or appear to do.
Speaking of Donald Trump, President Trump has an exclusive interview with Laura Ingraham in the next hour. Here's a piece of that talking about Chuck Schumer.
What message do you have for Schumer tonight?
Well, I think he made a mistake in going too far. Going
too far? How?
Well, he just went too far. He thought he could break the Republicans, and the Republicans broke him. But he did think that we have good policy, they have bad policy. And there's something, I don't know if it's Trump derangement or are they just crazed. They're like crazed lunatics. But, you know, we have just great policy. We have good people.
President Trump with the Ingraham angle. Harold, here in Chicago. What's happening inside the Democratic Party after this deal?
Well, first of all, good to be with you. I think Democrats ought to accept this as a victory. I listen to Brit, whom I often agree with and hold in high regard. But I do think, in spite of the fact that Democrats did not have a coherent and cohesive counter throughout this time, some Democrats wanted to undo all of the Medicaid cuts. Some wanted to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies because of the increases in premiums, and some wanted both, if not more. You think about not having a clear position and winning what they were able to win. Now, they're going to be Democrats.
What were they able to win?
We got, well, you put it up. You got back pay for all of the workers.
But that's just starting the government again.
The president said he wasn't going to do that. They're going to reinstate workers. And we got a promise to deal with the ACA.
But not a promise of actually voting and winning.
Right. But so in the 40-plus days we've seen this, you've seen the urgency and pressure put on everyday families. You've seen the urgency and pressure of the 42 million Americans who did not receive, which we're seeing the nutrition and SNAP benefits restored. And you're seeing an air traffic space that is increasingly dangerous in light of the fact we're heading towards Thanksgiving. Here's what they did win. Sweeping victories on Election Day, if you want to look at the politics of this just last Tuesday. And regardless of what some in the Republican Party may be saying, affordability is at the forefront of every American's mind. And if the Republicans don't deal with ACA subsidies, that issue in early December, it will have, I think, massive political implications negatively for Republicans next year.
But, Ben, it's not actually Republicans talking a lot about this battle. It's Democrat on Democrat. And it seems a lot of the analysts are saying it took some of the shine off of that victory on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think a lot of this, you know, just given the timing, really kind of threw cold water on what should have Democrats feeling very good about the direction that their party is having, just in terms of the variety of candidates who won. But I think that this really was something that was inevitable from the beginning, as Brit said, and this is. Look, I know Chuck Schumer is a fan of Jerry Seinfeld. They performed together, in fact. You know, they've done jokes together. This was a shutdown about nothing at the end of the day from the perspective of the voters. And I just don't think that a lot of progressive, younger Democrats who wanted to see this kind of fight happen, you know, are going to be satisfied by the way that this played out. And look, this isn't over. We're going to be back here dealing with this in January again, in terms of end of year stuff where you have many opportunities to disappoint a base that was excited after what they saw and should deservedly be after Election Day. And I think that this is not the way that people wanted it to play out. And it frankly should not have happened so much behind closed doors and surprised, I think, a lot of people.
And Leslie, listen, definitely those Obamacare subsidies are an issue, and they will be an issue for families around the country. But the reason it's an issue is because the Obamacare exchange never brought down the cost of health care and thereby had to be substituted with subsidies that ran out. Here's Ezra Klein at the New York Times. What were Democrats thinking? If I were in the Senate, I wouldn't vote for this compromise. Shutdowns are an opportunity to make an argument, and the country was just starting to pay attention. Both sides were fighting for position, and Democrats, if you look at the polls, are ending up in a better one than they were when they started. It's not a win, but given how badly shutdowns often go for the opposition party, it's better than a loss. Where are you, Leslie?
I disagree with all of the gentlemen on the panel, and I do hold Brit in the highest esteem and regard, but I'm going to disagree, and this is why. When you look at the blue wave that we had, and you look at the exit polling, let's look at the data. Number one, the economy. Number two, healthcare. And within those numbers on healthcare, the lack of affordability on healthcare. We have 8 Democrats in my party who didn't hold the line for the American people on this, because, Brett, rightly so, you have an empty promise of a conversation, possibly on what date. There's no specificity regarding this. And in addition to that, we don't see, any kind of an alternative plan coming from the Republicans to replace, neither have we for 15 years, the Affordable Care Act. So I don't think this is a win for my party. It was less than 1 week after the victory lap, and then the victory lap stopped, and it gives the perception that this wasn't about health care, and it really was from the conversations I have within my party. So I don't think this was the right thing to do. And now we have the House, and we'll see what they're going to do, because Speaker of the House is certainly not giving us any confidence that he's going to hold a vote on this. And again, we're not seeing what any kind of a compromise would look like. This should have been a negotiation, and it wasn't.
And Britt, we should point out, it does it with a lot of media support that was kind of characterizing this battle one certain way. Here's the Treasury Secretary and George Stephanopoulos over the weekend.
You were involved in a lot of these in the 90s, and you basically called the Republicans terrorists, and you said that it is not the responsible party that keeps the government closed.
I can disagree with you about the history there, but we don't need a history lesson right now.
George, let's talk about
what's happening right now.
If you want, I've got all your quotes here. I've got all your quotes here, George.
I'm sure you do.
But
let's talk about the situation right now.
Britt, he wanted to get those quotes out there.
Yeah, he had George Stephanopoulos dead to rights on this. One thought I might add here, Brett, is that if we cannot, as a nation, decide not to continue a subsidy that was imposed or was enacted during a national health emergency and was designed to be temporary, and that all the Democrats voted to have be temporary, if we can't let that expire, what hope do we ever have of getting government spending under control?
We will leave it there. There's many things to discuss. Harold's already hitting me. He wants to discuss more. We can't. Thank you, panel.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.